A bargain of broken hearts asterisk, the only sound in the sprawling empty kitchen was the frantic whisking of eggs. A frantic beat against a ceramic bowl that did little to drown out the silence of the ranch after dark asterisk. Elio Vance stood in the doorway, a silhouette of worn denim and quiet sorrow, watching her. Maya, his new cook, a wisp of a woman who usually moved with the quiet grace of a falling leaf, was a tempest of nervous energy. Her shoulders were hunched so tightly they nearly touched her earlobes. Asterisk, they're giving him a promotion. The whole firm is celebrating at the Gilded Sage. He's bringing her. Asterisk, Elio didn't move. He'd learned the hard way that some silences were meant to be filled, and others were meant to be endured. He was a rancher, a man of earth and animals, and his own heart had been trampled into that same earth just over a year ago. He understood the terrain of loss. Asterisk Maya finally stopped whisking, her knuckles white on the handle. She turned, her large, doe-like eyes glistening with a desperation that struck a chord deep within his own hollowed-out chest. Asterisk Elio. Her voice was barely audible. Can you pretend to be my boyfriend for one night? Asterisk, the question hung in the air between them, absurd and profound. The shy cook and the heartbroken rancher? A transaction of pretend affection. Asterisk, he should have said no. He had 100 reasons, each one carved from the memory of his wife. Clara walking out, her suitcase wheels clicking a final. Damning rhythm on the porch he'd built with his own hands. Asterisk, but he saw the raw shame in Maya's eyes. The same feeling that had festered in him for months, the feeling of not being enough. Asterisk, why? He finally asked, his voice a low rumble. Asterisk, because I told them I was happy. I told them I'd moved on with a rancher. A strong, quiet man who loves his land. She swallowed hard. I didn't want to be the pathetic little girl they all remember, still pining for the man who left her for a junior associate. I just want to walk in there one time and not feel like I've lost. Asterisk loves his land. The words were a twist of the knife. He did love his land. It was all he had left. Asterisk one night, he said, the words feeling foreign on his tongue. The Gilded Sage was everything. Leo's ranch was not. All polished brass, soft lighting, and the low, sophisticated hum of money. He felt like a bull in a crystal shop. His best button-down shirt feeling coarse and simple against his skin. Asterisk Maya's hand was a cold. Tiny bird in the crook of his arm. His name is David. He's at the corner table. In the blue suit? Asterisk Elio followed her gaze. David was polished, handsome in a way that looked manufactured. His arm slung possessively around a woman who shone as brightly as her diamond ring. Asterisk okay, Elio murmured, leaning down. His breath stirred the fine hairs at her temple. Just remember, you're the one who got away. He felt her shiver, and then she straightened her spine. A small, incredible show of courage. The performance began. It was stilted at first. A hand on the small of her back as they approached the table. A stiff introduction. Everyone, this is Elio. Asterisk David's smile was a condescending slash. So you're the rancher. Maya made you sound formidable. Asterisk, the land doesn't care for flattery, Elio replied, his voice even. Just honest work. Asterisk, it was during dinner that the lines between performance and reality began to blur. David and his colleagues spoke of mergers and market shares, a language of paper and smoke. They tried to draw Elio in, to mock his simple life. Asterisk must be a lonely existence. All that space and no one to share it with, David said, a smirk playing on his lips. Asterisk Elio looked directly at Maya, and for a terrifying moment it wasn't an act. He saw the gentle curve of her neck, the way she bit her lip when she was nervous, the hidden strength he'd witnessed in his kitchen. Asterisk it was, Elio said, his voice dropping, the gravel in it softening to something akin to warmth. Until I found someone who sees the poetry in a sunrise over the north pasture, who understands that the quiet isn't empty, it's full of promise. Asterisk, the table went silent. Maya's eyes, wide and stunned, locked with his. A faint, beautiful blush crept up her throat. Asterisk the act became a shield. He defended her, not with grand gestures, but with a quiet, unwavering certainty. When David made a veiled jab about Maya's failed culinary dreams, Elio simply said, "Her food has a soul. It's the only thing that's tasted real to me in a long time." Asterisk, he was describing her, but he was talking about himself. The dam inside him was breaking. Asterisk on the drive back, the cab of his pickup truck was thick with a new, unspoken tension. The stars were a brilliant, frozen spray above the dark silhouette of the ranch. Asterisk, you were incredible, Maya whispered, her voice raw. No one has ever. Thank you, Elio. Asterisk. He pulled up to her small cabin, the one adjacent to the main house. The engine ticked as it cooled. This was where the bargain ended. One night, the words echoed in his mind, a sentence of return to solitude. Asterisk, she turned to him, her face pale in the moonlight. I meant what I said in there. About your land. It's the most beautiful place I've ever been. Asterisk, he looked at her, truly looked at her, and the last of his defenses crumbled. The pretense had been a gateway to a truth he'd been too blind, too wounded to see. This shy, strong woman with sadness in her eyes and flower in her hair had, in her own desperate quest for dignity, offered him a glimpse of his own. Asterisk, Maya. He began, his voice rough with emotion. Tonight wasn't. Asterisk, he didn't finish. Instead, he cupped her face, his calloused thumb stroking her cheek, and he kissed her. It was not a kiss of pretense. It was a kiss of longing, of discovery, a desperate, hopeful kiss that tasted of salted tears and a future he'd thought was lost forever. Asterisk, she kissed him back, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer as if he were a lifeline. Asterisk, when they finally broke apart, they were both breathless. Hope, fragile and dazzling, flickered in her eyes. Asterisk, Elio, she breathed. Asterisk, he rested his forehead against hers, his heart hammering a wild, joyous rhythm against his ribs. Stay, he whispered. Not for one night. Stay. Asterisk, she smiled, a real, breathtaking smile that reached her eyes. Okay. He walked her to her door, his hand finding hers, their fingers lacing together, as if they were made to fit. He waited until she was inside, the soft yellow light of her lamp clicking on, painting the window gold. Asterisk, he walked back to the main house, his feet barely touching the ground. The silence of the ranch was no longer an enemy. It was a canvas. For the first time in a year, he felt whole. Asterisk, he climbed the porch steps. The memory of Clara's final click-clack of heels replaced by the solid, sure sound of his own boots. He reached for the door handle, and his fingers brushed against a small, smooth object tucked into the frame. Asterisk, a single, unopened condom. Asterisk, and tucked behind it, a folded note. In Maya's delicate handwriting, Asterisk B, just in case he tries to kiss you. Good luck tonight. Asterisk, the world stopped. The air left his lungs in a painful rush. Asterisk, he stared at the note, the words searing into his brain. Just in case he tries to kiss you. It was a contingency. A part of the script, a prop for the performance. Asterisk, the kiss. The breathless moment. The whispered stay. Had it all been part of her act? Had she been so thorough, so prepared for every eventuality, that she had even planned for his moment of weakness? Asterisk, the hope that had bloomed in his chest moments before, shriveled and turned to ash, leaving a cold, vast emptiness more profound than any he had ever known. He stood alone on his porch, under the endless, indifferent stars, the ghost of her kiss still on his lips, and the proof of his foolishness cold in his hand.